Okay, welcome to the E major problems video. So, if you're watching this video, it's probably because you watched this video and you were having problems making your E major chord sound right. So, I'm addressing it as E major because that's the chord that we learned, but these are troubleshooting tips to make any chord sound right. So, it doesn't have to be E major. So, let's make our E major chord. Okay, there we go. Now, I'm going to go through a couple of things, reasons why you might have been having problems, okay, tips. The first thing, the most likely cause of why you get like this sound, it's because you're not pushing hard enough. You have got to squeeze the crap out of those strings. You should be squeezing it so hard that if you've never done this before, by the time you make it sound right the first time, you go like this, ow! Like that's how much it hurts. And you think to yourself, is this normal? Is this supposed to happen? Maybe I'm just not cut out for the guitar. No, this happens to everybody. It happened to Jimi Hendrix the first time he tried to play an E chord because it's extremely difficult. Your fingers, see I have dents in my fingers. You can actually see those on the camera. I have dents in my fingers like that because I have calluses. When you try to do this without calluses, you're probably going to get like red marks. Okay, and so of course we always hear about people playing till their fingers bleed because that's a real thing. It can happen. Your fingers need to get used to it. The only way for that to happen is to keep doing it. So play, make it hurt, push through the pain. Don't worry. It happens to everyone, and if you want to play the guitar, you've got to keep going. Your fingers will toughen up. Okay, and that's number one. Okay, number two. Thumb placement. Okay, I think I probably just did it wrong because this is a bad habit that I have. But see where my thumb is? If your thumb is there, you could be having problems. So here's a big thing that happens. Alright, a big thing that happens is that these strings, if you put any light pressure on a string, the sound stops. Watch. See that? I just barely touch it and the sound stops. So one of the reasons we say don't do this is because of the angle of your fingers. Look at my index finger. When my hand is like this, it's really easy for my index finger to just drape a little bit the string under it, okay? So here we go. So that's the string underneath. So if my finger's at an angle, I'm like, oh, what's wrong? My finger's not even touching that string. Why is this happening? It's because I'm not using my fingertip. And if we want to use our fingertip, we've got to get our thumb out from here, and we've got to get our thumb around the back of the neck. The other thing that helps us do is it helps us push harder. Okay, pushing harder, like I said, is the biggest culprit when we're not getting the chord to sound right, and you simply are not going to be able to get as much pressure this way as you will this way. You're really bearing down on those strings. So, make sure you're pushing hard, make sure your thumb is in the right place, okay? Other thing, really important, you've got to make sure your fingers are at the front of the frets. I talked about this a little bit in the last video, but it really bears repeating. So if your finger is way back here, see, I'm pushing as hard as I can, and I'm getting some like rattle with that. You've got to get it to the front of the fret. So when I'm teaching beginners, we say, okay, get your fingers in the right place. So first you get your fingers lined up. Don't push yet. Number two, before you even push, slide those guys all up to the front of their frets as far as they can go. Then get your thumb to the back and play. The other thing is that, another one is that when people are playing and they're trying to look at their fingers, they start doing this thing. And when you start doing this thing where your guitar is not upright, but your guitar starts sliding out so you can see, your wrist is at this angle and you don't have nearly the force at this angle that you need to push those strings down. It's difficult to see, yes, but you've got to get your guitar right here and get here so that you can push down as hard as you can. The last thing, do not give up. So many people have this happen to them and they say, oh, obviously this is not for me. They kind of expect that they'll be able to just play. That doesn't happen for anyone. Everyone that's ever learned how to play guitar had to push through this. So keep practicing, rewind the video, watch it over again, make sure you're doing each of those things, and it will take practice. It's going to hurt, but if you follow these things, you will be able to make a successful E chord sound and keep it up. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to subscribe to get the latest guitar lessons.